Hey dudes, welcome back to another episode of our Rhomas Men's Team podcast. You are about to listen to one of our prior team meetings. If you ever want to join one of our live sessions that we have every Monday and Friday, head over to rhomas.com. That's RHOMAS.com and put your email in and we will send you a live link every time we record. We generally record on Mondays and Fridays. So if you ever want to be on the actual podcast, like we bring men up all the time to talk about their goals, talk about their obstacles, etc., head over to rhomas.com. And then also, if you want to help support the channel grow and also have access to exclusive content, book reviews, extra whiteboard sessions, etc., and some coaching sessions, head over to patreon.com and support us. We would love it. But if not, no biggie. We'll see you on the live sessions. Later, dudes. Enjoy this podcast.
Oh boy, we're live. It's Monday, my new favorite day of the week.
Dude, I tell people all the time that I have not had a Monday in the last 9 years, 10 years. And that feels, I can't even describe to you the feeling that has.
Yeah, that's what I always try to do is the energy. The thing I try to remind myself is of when I was at work and when you're at work and your boss is like, hey, I need you to go do something different today. And you're like, oh, I get to leave and drive. So I would drive and sit in my car. He's like, you got to go wait for delivery. And I'm like, oh yes, I get to do a different thing today. And I try to I try to, whatchamacallit, I try to bring that every time I do a podcast to remind myself too, that just getting the day off of work and just being like, I try not to settle into that, because that's become kind of, my reality, being out of that, fuck, it's Monday, and then kind of depressed it's Sunday, then kind of excited it's Thursday and Friday, and now my time horizon's just kind of flat. They're just days, and I check them off.
Yeah, no, I think a combination of coming from that and then reminding yourself of what life used to be like in that regard, and then also reminding yourself that the current state is not about just coasting. The current state is about doing what you love and producing value for other people to the best of your unique ability. And but I think reminding yourself, have you ever seen Peaky Blinders by any chance?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So there's a part in that where the Peaky Blinders, the main guy, Tommy, I think his name's Tommy, I forget what his name was. But he goes and he starts to shovel horse shit with one of his employees, and the employee says, what are you doing? You don't have to do this. He's like, well, because I want to remind myself of what it's like, so I don't have to go back here. So reminding ourselves of what those Mondays used to be like, I think is really important, actually, as a proper reset and calibration to your mental mindset.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it does help, but I think it's a good thing to do, and I think it's a good thing to stay tapped into. I mean, I've gotten to the point now where I'm able to kind of on demand just kind of check my cortisol. I do this all the time where I'm kind of spazzing out about something and I feel it, and it's I was just thinking about this today. So I'm feeling kind of I was doing stuff for, I was trying to figure out financial shit where I'm what do I have to pay for taxes? And I'm when the fuck did I send that one thing of money? So I know, and I hate it. It just makes me freak. I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a mistake and screw myself over. But so, I was able to kind of sit down and be like, all right, I can feel the fact that my cortisol is kind of pumping. And just by it kind of takes perspective, because I'm like, oh man, this sucks. And if I can just zoom out and be like, all right, this is not that big of a deal. Let me go settle what I'm dealing with right now, and then I can go deal with this later. Or just being like, why am I trying to squeeze this in before I do this podcast? Let me just pause this thing and go do something else.
Yeah, that zooming in and zooming out is a really good mental model for reframing situations and gaining perspective.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. So how'd the weekend go, buddy? What'd you learn over the weekend?
Over the weekend, what did I do? Oh, dude, I had to do I was doing shows all weekend. So I was in Baltimore.
Oh yeah, man. How'd it go?
Yeah. It went really well. The shows were good. It was it's kind of weird because you gotta I don't know, there's this weird thing hanging over the room. I mean, the crowd were awesome, but it's afterwards you want to hang out and you're kind of uncertain who's weirded out by it. But then you have people come right up in your face and you're like, dude, fucking relax.
Yeah.
So it's it's just weird. It was definitely strange, but it was good. It was good because I was hesitant to go kind of start traveling and do this stuff because, we had just had a kid and everything. So, I was able, what I learned this weekend was I was able to kind of be able to do that, kind of let Brittany handle everything. And, she did, and it was awesome.
And so how many shows did you actually do? So you did stand-up comedy
Just
shows.
3.
Okay, you did 3. So one Friday, 2 Saturday. How'd that go?
Yeah, 1 Friday, 1 Saturday, and then a live podcast on
Nice, man.
Saturday. Yeah, it's fun.
Dude, that's so wild. That is so, and just because I know we had what is his name, Delco Jim, on here on Friday, and he was talking that was one of his goals was to be a stand-up comedian. That road, oh man, that road had to be grueling for you. Like, was it comfortable for you stepping up? Did it feel natural, or did you just say, hey, I want to do this, and I know it's going to be extremely uncomfortable, I'm going to figure it out? Because I know it took you years and years to develop that skill. I remember when you started doing it in probably back in college, right? If not college, then maybe a year out.
Yeah. I was fucking terrified. I would go up there and just be absolutely like, I'd be like absolutely terrified. I'd go up to do it. It'd be like not even a panic attack. It would be like, I can't breathe right now. Just being like, and then your heart's just like, literally, you can feel it just like leaving your chest and coming back in, and they call your name and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But you just expose yourself to it so many times that you just get over it,
So it is literally just repetition. So before you step up on stage for stand-up comedy, you get this feeling of, almost like out of body experience. You ever get that like out of body experience where you feel like you're observing it? That's pretty wild. And then it was literally just repetition. Was there anything you told yourself, like, I'm just going to get through it?
Well, you know what's funny? The way I used to trick myself into kind of calming down is I would always, when I just started, like, I swear to God, it was like the first 3 times I was like, dude, if I do this without like having a stroke on stage or freaking out, if I get good at this at all, I will do my best if I make any sort of money to try to do good stuff with it. And that was kind of the bargain I was able to make with myself, and it just calmed me down, And that was the thing I was thinking about too with the whole, like, my whole cortisol check. It's like, when you kind of zoom out to just kind of like trying to help other people, it doesn't, like, when you have problems, they just kind of, they pale in comparison because your scope is so wide. So like, like today I was like, I fucked up a bank transfer and I'm like, God damn it, I didn't mean to send that to there. And I wanted this here so I could pay this by this date. And I'm like, and I'm freaking out. And then, it's like, you just kind of zoom out and gain some perspective. And you're like, this literally is meaningless. There's no reason for me to get like, hot under my feet about this.
Right. Well, one of the things you said there was that when you focusing on helping other people. Is that what you said?
Yeah. If you can kind of zoom that out, it takes the pressure off you, because it's like, you're not acting in service to your ego to be like, I got to do this because I have to be the best at everything. And it just, that never wins. But if you can if you can kind of redirect that kind of ego function towards like, how much are you helping other people? Because people are really quick to tell you like, hey, that was awesome, that helped me. But if you're the judge of your own status among however you're trying to move yourself up in the world, you're always going to see someone you perceive as kind of like bigger, faster, stronger, better, richer, whatever. And then you're going to go right back down. It's not like you're like, when you're looking at that person, you're like, I'm still in, 2 billionth place. And maybe, you're just like, fuck, that guy's better than me. It doesn't matter, kind of where you're sitting. So you can kind of zoom out of that and just kind of be like, all right, what am I actually doing for other people? Am I doing anything for anybody else besides myself? And is anyone reporting back to me that I'm being useful to them?
I think the power of one is extremely useful as well. Like, if I could just help one person do one thing, and there's something hardwired in the human system that gives us a positive feedback loop, versus if you're only in it for yourself and you're focused on the next whatever it is, $1,000, $100,000, whatever that is. In my opinion, that game runs out, and it's actually not very motivating. But if you can focus, if your true intention is to help and serve people, I think you're unstoppable in that competitive landscape.
Yeah, no, it's true. And it's funny. Yeah, we are hyper cooperative. Human beings are one of the most cooperative primates, I think. There was this, I don't know if I talked about it before, but there was this, I think I did actually, but they did this study where they have, did I tell you about the kids and the puppets, and they put Cheerios on the little board?
I don't think so.
I think if you're a 1-year-old, if you put like puppets, or you put Cheerios on its little, like height chair, with a little tray, and have 2 puppets, and you have one puppet be nice and one puppet be mean, a 1-year-old will give a Cheerio to the nice puppet and not give it to the mean puppet.
Really?
Yeah, it's in our nature to be like super cooperative and to also reward cooperation.
Yeah, well, let's kind of take a second to describe that, because I actually think it's really important. So for the longest time, I did not study evolution. I grew up a Catholic, went to OLPH Catholic school for those of you listening. Hey, and Nick Yeager, what's up, man? Just saw that you joined. Welcome, buddy. So for the longest time, I did not study evolution because we were told that evolution was not a real thing. Eventually when I said, okay, well, maybe there's something to this evolution thing. I watched, what did I watch? It was called Our Inner Fish. It's a documentary. I watched Mankind, the Story of All of Us. And I read I've read the book Brain Rules, and I read a few other things. And finding out the origin, another book was called Sapiens, but finding out the origin of why we are humans, and even understanding our anatomy, like understanding why our teeth are a certain shape and why do we have canine teeth and so on. To your point, we do not have any physical weapons on us. Right? We don't have like razor sharp teeth except for our canines, and they're not even that sharp. We don't have any claws. We don't have any like superior speed. I think a leopard, can run up to like 86 miles an hour, something crazy, like, or a cheetah. I think a cheetah. So we don't have any of that. So if you can just kind of reverse engineer as to why that is, basically, long story short, the reason that we were able to survive is because we were cooperative species. Like the reason that we can sweat, actually, I thought this was pretty interesting. So the reason that we can sweat is actually we've evolved to run long distances. So a lot of people think that as hunters, we used to just go off and like spear an animal, like throw a spear from 50 yards away and nail the thing. That's actually apparently not how it happened, at least per these documentaries and books that I've read. How it happened was we would collectively get together and strategize. Let's say me, you, and a few other guys strategize at how we're going to run down the zebra or whatever it is. And eventually we can outrun them, because in order for a mammal who has hair to re-energize or to breathe properly after a certain amount of exhaustion, they have to stop and they have to pant. That's why a dog doesn't sweat. It kind of sweats through its mouth, as they say. So versus because we sweat, our sweat will drip on our skin and it'll evaporate. That's what creates the coolness around our skin, but we can do it simultaneously while we're in motion. So little things like that can all point us to the direction of we are cooperative species that relied on other humans to survive. That is why when you go up to ask the girl at the bar if she wants to go out with you and she says no, you feel an incredible pain. That because pain from rejection meant death to our ancestors. So it's very, very important for us to understand that, because if you can understand that underlying hard wiring, then you can figure out how to get around it, or at least tell your brain, it's like, okay, thank you. You're running a playbook that is archaic and no longer relevant to today. So I am going to go and take a risk and ask that girl out, because I know there's 1,000 others that I could ask out an hour from now.
Yeah. I mean, once you can kind of get over the, like you were saying, the kind of innate biological drives that like really make it's like touching an electrical fence. It's like, like I know I'm not going to die, but it sucks when you touch it. But once you're able to be like, yeah, the level of freak out my body is going under is in no way indicative of the real life consequences. Like it's just not, So I mean, even from stand up, like bombing sucks, dude. It sucks so fucking bad, and you're just sitting there. I couldn't imagine. You're in your own personal hell, just like. And then but then I'll watch people bomb and be like, the guy bombed, and I don't think about it for another 2 seconds. I'll see him like, what's up, dude? You don't even think about it. So yeah, man, it is important to be able to kind of, and I mean, if you think about it, those biological functions are kind of what corrals so many people into just kind of like sitting and being dormant and being like, I don't know, but I might lose my money or whatever. And it's like, yeah, man, you might, but you're not going to die. So.
Well, yeah, and that kind of leads me to the next point of something that I learned over the weekend. I'm going to read it right now. I write down these things, these little like one-liners. I was listening to an interview from Jeff Bezos. I've been listening to him for the last like week or so. It's just phenomenal because he's incredibly logical. But one of the things that I wrote down, which I thought was phenomenal, was he said, a few big successes will compensate for dozens and dozens of failures. And for those of you who don't know, Jeff Bezos is the founder and still CEO of Amazon. So he's depending on what day you look, he's the richest man in the world, usually top 3. But he's incredibly strategic and incredibly logical. So a few big successes will compensate for dozens and dozens of failures. And I, like in my own personal life, dude, I can tell you the amount of things that I try, like especially when it comes to business or whatever it is, I know that I'm only going to be right 20% of the time, but I know that 20% will more than compensate me for all of the failures in between. And I love how he put it, like the dozens of failures, only a few successes and dozens of failures. I think he was spot on with that.
Yeah, and I saw this question down here from Mary Fu. I don't understand what this means. Is Bezos a genuinely good paradigm? What does that mean? I'm confused about that.
So if the question is Bezos kind of like a good person to model? I would say it depends on if you're going, obviously great business person to model. And there's a ton of nuances in that. So when Mary Fu gets back to us and kind of clarifies, but like it's very, we can cherry pick good. Oh yeah, definitely. So to Mary Fu's point in the comments, if you're hinting at, oh, well, maybe we don't want to follow all of Bezos, I completely agree, because the guy cheated on his wife and was very public about it after it came out and kind of owned it, which I guess there's a portion of that is respectable because somebody was trying to blackmail him, and he came out, he said, literally, this guy's trying to blackmail me over here. I cheated on my wife. So obviously I'm not saying that you should follow him in all of his endeavors. You probably shouldn't follow any man in all of his endeavors. However, obviously, he will go down in history as one of, maybe even eventually, the most successful human who's ever walked the planet. So very interesting guy. And then in terms of other things, I think you're saying he's a sociopath. Sorry,
this is something.
I don't know if he's a qualified sociopath. I don't know if we're going to get into that.
This is something. Well, the funny thing is, this happens a lot with billionaires. You get people who go, oh, this guy's a billionaire, he's a sociopath. It's like, okay, so imagine tomorrow you invent something and people just start giving you money for it. At what point are you going to be like, hey, stop giving me money for this? And it's like, There's no, people do this to everyone. There probably are. And I do see the point of like, in order to make $1 billion, you have to hold $1 billion and be like, you see all this stuff going on. You're like, I'm going to keep my $1 billion. But then again, it's like, is that how it works? Or like, is that $1 billion just keep auto regenerating?
It's not how it works.
It just keeps regenerating itself. And, so it's like, and the other thing too is like because billionaires get a bad rap, but it's also like, dude, try to just understand the reality of a billionaire. They're basically hallucinating, and they're just taking money and just doing, like, transforming reality into whatever they want. And it's like, dude, how would I handle $1 billion? Probably pretty fucking poorly. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I did the instant disdain for them is interesting to me. And I see why. It's like, well, you have $1 billion, fuck you.
Well, yeah, and let's talk about that, because I think there's some interesting comments about like Bill Gates and a whole bunch of other billionaires out there. Now, coming from my world, so coming from finance, I can tell you for sure that there are people, especially in the finance world, who just play the game just to watch the numbers go up, like just to make their personal numbers go up. That is something that I disagree with. Right, like you're just learning how to work the financial system to your benefit. So, for instance, like if you look at, like, you could argue that there's certain types of traders out there that because of their sophisticated technology, they can catch a transaction before it gets from one side to the other. Right. I mean, like we can talk for an hour about this topic, but just trust me, like there's physical hardware sites built, right, let's say over the last 10 years, that can catch transactions between when you buy something, when a customer places an order and when it actually gets fulfilled. You grab the transaction, you increase it a couple pennies, or you let it increase a couple pennies, and you sell it for a couple pennies higher. It creates no value to society. So that is a different thing. But when you talk about people like Jeff Bezos, I think what's oftentimes misunderstood is like when Forbes comes out and says, oh, Bezos is worth X amount of tens of billions or $100 billion, I forget what the last number was. It's not like he's got that in a bank. Right? It's not like he's got like $80 billion in a bank and he just parks it there. No, the majority of his net worth, and like let's say the majority of the founders that we all know, let's say I don't know, Steve Jobs when he was alive, etc. Most of their net worth is tied up into the shares of the company. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear it.
So it's fluctuating every day. That's why an article or something came out about Bill Gates a handful of months ago, saying how there's a conspiracy theory about how Bill Gates was manipulating or increasing his wealth. And I'm not sure if I think you actually sent me the article, and the person was just dead wrong. Like they were literally, they were like, oh, there's no way he could have increased his wealth in this period of time. All I did was I went to Google and I typed in Microsoft, right, and looked at the ticker symbol and showed the percentage of increase in value of Microsoft. And the funny thing was, if he would have kept his shares of Microsoft, he would have been worth 2 or 3x what the article was stating. if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
I
saying,
thought
oh, it's not mathematically possible for him to.
it was the Corbett report. I thought I had him. I thought Bill Gates was done. I was like, check this out. And all of a sudden it was like, you sent me the stock thing. It's like, yeah, he actually should have like 4 times more than they're reporting. And I was like, fuck it. Well, the funny thing is, if you think about it, it's like, this isn't like, bow down to your billionaire overlords, but it's like, in what way does that kind of attitude of like, yeah, but they're the bad guys and I'm the good guy affect you? It's because if you say you want to launch into some business thing, you're like, I'm not like an evil business. It's like, I think that thing starts to not serve people at a certain point. And they start to be like, rather than worried about their own affairs, they're like, trying to keep tabs on a billionaire. It's like, dude, you just should, it's not going to do anything for you, man. It's like, people, the thing that I'm really trying to push is like, if you were just to give your own, if you were to look at yourself as critically, you would be surprised kind of what you find, rather than deflecting and being like, they're the bad guys, I'm the good. And it's like, I guess, man, I don't know. When I was younger, I was into all that shit. When I was younger, I'd be like, oh, they're the fucking this and that. And there's dudes I don't like. Like I genuinely don't like Mark. I watch Mark Zuckerberg. I find him pretty unlikable, and I genuinely don't like the business model of Facebook and a lot of big tech companies. But it's like, there's that, but there's also, I'm trying to think. There's like this kind of, not judginess, but it comes into this thing where it's like, that whole arena is evil and I don't want anything to do with it. And that mentality sometimes holds people back from themselves personally. That's kind of, yeah, that's kind of the thing.
Yeah. I mean, whenever you become famous, you're going to have, right, people who support you and people who hate on you. But I'm definitely saying, if you're in a business, then you should be modeling very successful business people. The cool thing is, like the story of Bezos is, he didn't come from anything special, right? Like it wasn't like he inherited the money. In fact, like he took his parents' money as investors and told them, hey, there's only a 30% chance this thing is actually going to succeed. And that's a pretty cool, like if you ever actually go read his book or watch some of his interviews, it's really cool. He's, in my opinion, he's a great example of what a business person can do with opportunity in America. I mean, you turn nothing. Right, he was a computer scientist who eventually went to work for a hedge fund, and then eventually said, like, hey, I'm going to go off and create this business. His boss told him, is like, you've got an outstanding career ahead of you. Just build on it. You're going to go sell books online. That was what and he did it. Right. And now we did it to the tune of billions and billions and billions of dollars. But the point is, first of all, you have to have role models. Whoever you choose to follow, right? Like take their lessons that they've taught all of us and then refine them for yourself, and then use what's useful and discard what's not. And there's never going to be a perfect picture on all sides for all human beings. I don't care if you look at from Ben Franklin to Jeff Bezos to Warren Buffett, whoever it is, there's always, like all of us, right? We're all broken to a certain degree. So there's going to be bits and pieces that we don't want to follow, but that doesn't mean we should throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah, and again, if when people say like, "Oh man, that sucks," it's like, well, if it sucks so bad and you think they're hurting people so badly, then why don't you at least try to do something to counter that? Rather than like, well, I'm going to live my life and go as hard as I can to honor my name and make my ego feel as good as itself as it can. But all these other guys should be nicer. It's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I've been I don't know. That kind of thinking's been, it doesn't I guess it bothers, I'll say it bothers me. It just kind of bothers me because I used to do it so much myself. And it's like, it ends up, in my opinion, it's just a distraction. It's just a distraction. And it's like a short-term way to make yourself feel better. But in reality, it's like, perhaps you're kind of letting yourself off the hook in other areas of life,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. How about you, man? What'd you learn over the weekend, buddy?
Oh man. You know what? I really just kind of, the thing I worked on, because sometimes doing stand-up kind of throws me for a loop. Like, it can put me in a negative mind state where I'm like, I'm about to go out. There's so many fucking things that can go wrong on so many different fronts. And, I really kind of learned that like, you don't have to pay any attention to any of that stuff. You really don't. Like if something goes wrong, it's going to go wrong, Right? Because I used to sit there and be like, yeah, but this is going to happen. And, oh man, but then am I spending too much time away? Am I going to be am I someone who's like traveling all the time? And it's like, dude, you're just gone for a day and a half, relax. So, I was able to just kind of really sit in the moment of what I was doing, and I'd feel myself leave it and start to get in my head again and just kind of come right back out and be like, all right, let me just do the thing again. Not so much thinking about like, am I going to be good? Am I going to be bad? I was just like, damn, people have been trapped in their house for almost a year now. They're excited to be out. Let me just go try to help people have fun. That's all I thought about. And the shows went well. All of them were fun. All of them were everyone there had a good time. And when you bring that again, like when you kind of bring that energy, versus like, how are you all doing? I hope you're all having fun versus like, I have to be the best. You just do better. You do better, which is, which is fun. It's like counterintuitive.
Oh,
You do better as a byproduct. Yeah, you do better as a byproduct because because the thing your goal isn't to have them being like, damn, he's the best. They're people who want to not selfishly, but they're just like, I want to come here and enjoy a comedy show. They're not coming to be like, I'm here to worship Matt McCusker and exalt him and be like, you are the best. They just want to laugh. So when you get out of your own frame and all that stuff and just say like, what is the thing I want to do? Why do I want to do it? And again, that's like when you zoom your perspective out rather than being all up in your face all the time. It's just everything's more enjoyable.
Dude, I think you're spot on. So Michael Jordan was interviewed, let's say, 15 years ago, if not longer. And they asked him, how is it that you go and perform day in and day out? And because if you look at Jordan, first of all, the NBA season is, I think it's regular season, I think is 86 games. And by the way, I don't know anything about sports. I literally know more about Oprah Winfrey because my mom, that's all she had on when I was growing up. I know more about that than I do watching sports. I played sports my entire life. But I think the NBA season is 86 games long, and then of course you have playoffs, etc. Incredibly grueling. If you had to put yourself in the shoes of an NBA player and going and basically playing borderline every day or every few days, and then practicing in between that time and traveling all across the country / the world, because Jordan was on the Olympics, etc., on the Olympic team. How in the world do you go and perform at such a high level? Which, that being said, if you look at LeBron James now, have you watched LeBron James at all by any chance? Like in the finals?
I haven't seen him.
Dude, this guy, he does not, like Jordan, Kobe, and I love both of those guys. They had to compensate for their lack of physical strength towards the end of their career. Like Jordan would start developing like the fadeaway jump shot, same with Kobe Bryant, etc. But they weren't jumping as high, all this. And you can physically see it if you were a true follower of those guys. And I love those guys were like role models to me in the game in basketball. LeBron James, dude, in my opinion, he looks like he just got into the league. Like he is still, because apparently he spends about $1 million to $1.5 million on his body, like recuperating, strength training, and so on every single year. This guy looks more powerful today than he did, in my opinion, when he first came into the league, however many years ago. Like, I don't know, it was like 13, 15 years ago, something crazy. Anyway.
Jesus.
Oh, dude, it's absolutely insane. But was it Joseph says that LeBron is a beast? People hate on him and make it. Yeah, I mean, LeBron is an absolute monster. And the cool thing about LeBron, and I think this is what makes him a little bit of like, he's not necessarily as much in the conversation about best of all time between Jordan and Kobe, because Jordan and Kobe had this like killer type of like instinct about them, and like they weren't shy about it. It's like, I just want to kill you. Like Kobe used to listen to Halloween theme music, like the movie Halloween, the theme music of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Yo, dude. And the reason was because Michael Myers, if you guys have ever seen the film, it's a blank faced mask on a serial killer. The reason that blank face exists is because the void of emotion. Right, like while he's killing people. That's why Kobe used to listen to the theme music before games. Like that, he was just a killer, right? LeBron doesn't have that. LeBron is very funny. He's joking. He's constantly smiling. So he doesn't have that same narrative that you kind of want from like the ultimate tyrant of competition. But anyway, they asked Jordan how he was able to perform so well over many years, and what he said was very similar to what you're saying. He's like, because I know that even during like a regular season game where I'm playing whatever, the Grizzlies back then, who were a terrible team, I know that there's at least one kid in the stands who his parents paid a lot of money to see Michael Jordan play, and I know that he'll never be able to see me play again in person, and I want to make his experience the best ever. So actually, for as selfish as people thought Jordan was, that was his intention going on every game, that there's some kid in the stands who needs me to inspire them tonight. And that's cool, man. Like that's very similar to what you're saying. I'm going to go out and do the stand-up comedy thing. These people are paying their money, their hard-earned money, to see me perform, and I want to give them a good show.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing too. Once, especially when you're a thing like that, that can be so subjectively judged. It's like the only thing you can do is do your best, and you can't do your best if you're in your head. So you might as well just go out there and have as much fun as possible, because especially for that, it's contagious. This one question, someone said, do you think these extreme winners are happy in day-to-day life, or or you just constantly keep chasing the win? Is this extreme competitive spirit a gift or a curse? It is a good question.
Who can we bring this guy on? I get so pumped when we bring people on.
I know, it is. I love it.
I'd love to have him on. Or if he doesn't want to come on, if anybody else wants to come on, if they've got a good.
You can always reject it. I always send it out. You can always, he's coming on. You can always reject it, of course. But yeah, I think that is a good question. What up, John?
Hey.
What's up, bro?
What's your name, dude?
Boys?
John.
John?
Yeah.
Yeah, John.
Hey, John. What's up, buddy?
Same old, mate. It's a bit late here in Australia.
Damn, you're in Australia right now?
Yeah, bro.
Dude, that's wild. You know, the only thing, we'll get to your question, I think is actually a really good question. Should I be as scared as I am about going to Australia? Because I just hear they've got like killer bugs there, like literally like bugs and spiders that can kill you. That's the first thing that I think of when I think of Australia. Like, is that a valid fear?
Nah, mate. It depends really where you go, I guess, but not down here in Melbourne where I am.
Man, I heard it's gorgeous there, dude.
Oh shit! There you go.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think the question is a good question. I think, Wes, what do you think about that?
Oh, dude. So, John, for the listeners, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So I think Rogan talks about this a lot, and I think Saint Rogies, I think you guys call him.
Yeah.
He refers to it as the madness of excellence, and it's almost a curse, you know, like. These extreme winners are almost always chasing this next win, this next thing. You know, you look at Michael Jordan and his gambling problems. You know, he'll lose for someone and refuse to play with him again. Or I think there's a famous story with him and Dennis Rodman where he comes over on his birthday and they're playing table tennis, and Jordan keeps making him play because he keeps beating him. End up playing for 6 or 7 hours straight. So I don't know.
Dude, well, actually, it is a phenomenal question. So I got a couple points to that. Number one, John, have you watched the documentary, the Last Dance documentary that just came out about the Chicago Bulls and Jordan?
Not yet.
Okay, no. Dude, you got. If you're into Jordan and you're just into competition, you should definitely watch it. A couple things. Number one, in terms of Jordan, my opinion is yes. I don't. If you watch that documentary to the fullest extent and towards the end, he does not seem happy, right? That there seems to be an emptiness there because of the relationships that he burnt along the way, that winning at all costs. And there's some sort of like void there. And kind of even the way they did the cinematography, like in the beginning, they just showed him in the foreground and there's it's just him, right? There's nobody around him, nothing like that. It just kind of shows him pondering. So I actually do think there's something to that. And I can also tell you that for me, I've taken a lot of personality assessments, and from the way I was raised, competition is my number one thing by far. Like I'm like what you're saying with Jordan. I have made my friends play me in bowling. Literally, I've bowled before for 7 hours straight because I kept on losing. This is not a joke. My cousin came out here to California. I made him almost miss his flight, right? Like the flight was a little delayed. That's why he did not miss his flight. Because we were bowling and he kept on beating me. So I made him play. And that wasn't even the 7 hour time. We played for 4 hours that time. And I can tell you that there's a certain obsession that is completely unhealthy. Like by no means is it healthy. Now, I do think because we can get some commercial rewards from that society tends to give us some positive feedback. But I think long term, if that is not harnessed, and for a lot of these guys like Jordan, or have you ever seen what is his name? Dan Gable in wrestling. Dan Gable was, arguably.
Froning is another. I'm sure if you're familiar with him, but he, you look at his house and his life just seems beautiful. He's living on this ranch and, beautiful weather over there. And man, every person he talks to, every person that you doesn't have an affiliation with him says, man, he's a dick. Like you don't want to be around that guy,
Who was it?
Rich Froning. He's
the
champion.
CrossFit guy. Yeah, there's a certain obsession that it's like, I'm going to focus unidimensionally on this thing. But here's the problem. The problem is that if you read any happiness study, there's always two things that they bring up. Number one is pursuit of something meaningful, right? Which you could argue that Jordan and Froning and Kobe Bryant, that they had pursuit of something meaningful for them. But then the second thing, right, is deep relationships. And that's what goes away. And if you do it at all expenses, and like even your family, right? Like if your family's not around you, eventually, especially with physical sports, that game doesn't last very long, right? Like your body starts to break down. So Jordan can't play into his 50s, et cetera. But here's the other thing. For some reason, LeBron has broken that pattern. Like so my buddy actually trains LeBron, and he's been training for years. And he says LeBron is like one of the best dudes he's ever met. Like, dude is constantly smiling, cracking jokes with everybody loves him. At least that's what my buddy says. And this is behind the scenes, no media involved. But even when you see him on the court, it's like very rarely does he turn into a jerk. So I think that's why he breaks the mold. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say you could probably put Tom Brady in that category as well. You guys, a lot of athletes these years, I'm not sure, man. Do you think that is LeBron breaking the mold, or is that just a sign of the times? Athletes these days seem to be, you look at the UFC, you look at boxing, a lot of these guys are, there's UFC champions, people that are fighting for the belt that started the sport at 26 years old, Mike Tyson and comeback. There's numerous examples. I don't know whether LeBron has broken that mold or whether that's just is that just better training, better nutrition, better recovery because of the age that we live in,
Oh, yeah. Well, when I was talking about breaking the mold, in terms of breaking the mold of greatest of all time, or at least in that discussion, but who does it with a smile on his face.
Yes.
Right. It's not like I want to strangle you to win at all costs. Do you know what I mean?
And not only that, but still back to the relationship thing. I'm pretty sure he's been with the same woman from high school, and you never hear anything in the media about any sort of issues with him.
Dude, he's Hugh Jackman, man. Hugh Jackman is like my ultimate fear of like running into like with my girlfriend, because the dude is the most perfect dude ever. He like has all these multidisciplinary skill sets. Oh, did we lose him?
Yeah, sorry.
And like he still has got a wife from decades ago. Yeah, LeBron's the same exact thing, and that is, in my opinion, we need to have LeBron on the show one day. He's a pure example of, in my opinion, what a man should be. Like superior at your craft, superior at relationships, honorable to your wife and everybody around you, and it seems like a genuinely phenomenal person. Plus, he's frugal. So my buddy was training him, right? They go to the Staples Center out here in Los Angeles, because when LeBron wants to practice, they obviously just open up the Staples Center. So they're going, and LeBron's shooting, and it's just my buddy and LeBron. And LeBron has his phone linked up to the entire audio system of the stadium, which is pretty wild. And then he's shooting around, and all of a sudden it's on Spotify, and all of a sudden it goes to commercial break, right? And my buddy's like, dude, he's like, you're trying to get in the zone, you're trying to improve your skill. Why do you have a Spotify version that has commercials? He's like, dude, it's $9.99 a month for music. He's like, I'm not paying that, right? So like, this is a guy who got $90 million contract before he stepped on the floor game one from Nike, right? But he's still frugal. So I don't know. There's a piece of me that likes that, because he came from Akron, Ohio, and he had nothing. I mean, if you ever look into his upbringing, it's terrible, right? Like his mom, he's still dedicated to his mom, but his mom was a drug addict growing up, and he didn't know his dad, and so on. So, but Matt, what are your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking, and well, it's funny too, because we were talking this weekend about just like bad neighborhoods in the middle of the country are just like terrifying. When you take like a bad neighborhood in like a rural area, it's just like, it's like fucked up over there. Yeah. I mean, I just been sitting here thinking while you're talking, and it's like, I do go back to like, the things that have served me are, there's like it's not like one thing, because every time you go too far in one way, because like take finding a meaningful pursuit, right? If you don't have that, it sucks. I've not had that before in my life, and it just fucking sucks. But then you can get one, and then that becomes your whole obsession. I think like Sigmund Freud used to like, if anyone came in and disturbed him while he would write, he would like freak out at his family and be like, "Get out of here!" Blah 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 blah. Because he was obsessed with becoming like one of the greatest theorists or psychologists, whatever he was doing. So like it really just goes back to balance. It's like, it's good. It's good to have something you like to do, and if you don't have, if your day to day sucks, you can either accept that and complain about it for the rest of your life until you die, or you can make it your mission to be able to start filling, even if it's not your whole day, a couple hours a day with something that you find meaningful. So it's like, that's really important. But at the end of the day, I think there is that, and there's quality of relationships. And if you don't have both, you're kind of at a loss, and no one has them all the time. It kind of fluctuates. Like sometimes the stuff I'm doing, I'm like, is this what I really want to do? But if you just kind of stick it out, it does pay off. But yeah, for me, it's really quality of relationships and then being able to do something meaningful. And like, if you have those two things, I think it's pretty simple as long as you're able to balance them. So,
I think a good quote I heard not too long ago actually is, I really should have had this ready to go.
That's all right, buddy.
Moderation, including moderation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I'm trying to think. There's the extreme competitiveness, and I get caught up into this too sometimes, but it's like, I think a lot of this can be solved by just if you can ask a simple question, like, are you okay with yourself? Like, are you genuinely okay with yourself? And, like, what is the feeling like when nothing's going on and you're sitting there by yourself? What are you feeling like? And if you're able to kind of be at peace in those moments, you can have fun. Like me and Shane were shooting this weekend in Baltimore. The hotel was like right next to a gun range. And like, dude, it was killing me. He was hitting bullseyes and I wanted to beat him so badly because I was talking all this shit. Like, I shot guns when I was little. You never touch guns. And he started hitting bullseyes. I'm like, fuck. So it's like, it's in there, but like, it's not like, it was funny. It was fun competing and all this stuff. But it was, at the end of the day, I was able to just be like, that was fun. I lost. And that was fun. But it's like, if you're not okay with yourself and you're kind of like needing to prove your existence at every moment of every day, then like, yeah, that can get kind of frustrating. But I'm also curious for people there has to be people who are genuinely just not really that competitive at all and just don't get off on it.
Yep.
I'm always wondering, I'm always curious about that.
Yeah. I think whatever it is, I think you have to make progress to be fulfilled that's why I love the fact that the data is showing meaningful pursuit. So some sort of pursuit in the direction of progress, I think is important. And the medium that which you get there mentally, whether it be competition or whether it be cooperation or whether it be some sort of nurturing. Like I know, for instance, my mom is not a competitive. Well, actually she is, but competition is not her number one thing. Being a nurturing person to help others is the number one thing. So whatever medium you use, as long as it is in the name of pursuit of progress of something meaningful for you, I think that's where the rubber hits the road. Yeah,
man. I'm still hung up on the whatchamacallit. I'm still hung up on this idea of, you take a guy like Bezos and you go like, man, what a piece of shit. And it's like, I've fallen into this before, and I'm thinking here, I'm kind of freestyling, but it's like, as I get older, I do think that kind of thinking is kind of some sort of defense mechanism of being like, that's the bad person, I'm the good person. And it's like, all right, well, proportionally, how much of your money do you give away? Like, I'm sure you have extra money, you know what I mean? So it's like, and I would put that on myself, and it's like, I don't even give old sweatpants away. I'm like, no, I need those. I'll keep these. So, it's like it would be nice for people to start kind of, just if they want to, don't have to, but it's like to start kind of getting out of these defensive modes, or, to really kind of take a hard look at themselves and just be like, you can always, it's like, well, I can't do that because X, Y, and Z. Is like, that's fine, perfectly fine. But you can always tweak something, like even if it's a little thing that'll start to increase. Like, dude, I've been doing my taking my screen time down on my phone. I have I looked at do you ever check your screen time report on your cell phone?
Yeah, I think it's got some skew to it. Like, I think there's some delta there that's not accurate, because I look at mine sometimes. Like, I don't even go on social media, but it adds some time under there. So I think I'm just confused on some of the apps that it recognizes as social. But yes, I have seen it.
So I was spending like 3 hours. It was telling me it was spending like 3 hours a day. And like you were saying, yeah, there is stuff like I'll have a workout app, or like I'll just watch something. Right. I'll like generally watch a video, or I'll be on the phone and my screen's on. So, it's not all, it's not as accurate, but I've been using it as a benchmark, and I deleted all the social media apps off my phone. And dude, I just have way more time now. Like, I have way more. And that was something like people like, oh, you don't understand. I have kids. I don't have time. It's like, all right, well, I guarantee you're sitting on it in your free time. You're sitting there just going like, scrolling some bullshit that, might be fun here and there in the moment. But like, I don't know, man. For me, I'm not like chastising and be like, you have to do this. But for me personally, when I cut that shit out and I have like all this other free time to do stuff, I genuinely feel better.
Oh, dude, 100%. And yeah, Tricky66 said he put his screen time down too. Just got off Facebook 6 months ago. That's phenomenal. Like the majority of stuff that we do on there, yes, there are some good things that we can do on social media, but for the most part, if you're just like scrolling, trying to look at hot girls or whatever it is, right? It's a waste of time, the majority of it. So, John, 2 questions for you, bro. Number one, what are some goals that you have? And then number 2, after that, and it could just be one goal, whatever you feel comfortable sharing. Number 2, Kobe, LeBron, or Jordan. Who's the GOAT? You can answer in whatever sequence you want.
Yeah, I'll go with question 2 first. Just I honestly watch basketball, mate. I don't really watch any American or even Aussie sports for that reason. For that matter, sorry.
What does your gut tell you? What does your gut tell you? Jordan, LeBron, or Kobe?
I got to go with Jordan. You know, he's from what I understand, who really popularized basketball. You know, I've heard that before Jordan, basketball was never as popular as what it is now. And now he just seems like the game changer. You know, he seems like the man. Without Jordan, I don't think you have a LeBron, and I don't think you have any of these other characters. You know, the same way without Muhammad Ali, do you have Tyson? Do you have, you know, everybody else? I think it all starts with these sort of, you know, like without Conor McGregor, how big would the UFC be? You know, Conor McGregor way for all these other superstars. And I think that might be what Jordan has done. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that. You know, always this
that's fair.
GOATs and who's the greatest of all time. But yeah, he was so fucking cool to watch, and people, you know, that he changed the game.
Fair point. Oh yeah, absolutely, 100% right. Fair point, totally. Plus, dude, like LeBron's gone to I think LeBron's gone to the finals now 10 times, which is insane. But I don't know how many championships he's won. I think like maybe 4 at this point. If he wins this year, I think it'll be 4. But Jordan was 6 for 6.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I've heard that basketball back then was you know, like these great players would influence the team, and they would almost, you know, control the outcome of the entire season. Whereas now you got people that link up and create this super team where, like, you know, I don't know,
Golden State Warriors
linking up, you know.
Yep. Yeah. No. Absolutely. So sorry, everybody, we're getting off on the basketball tangent, but we can apply this. Like, so John, what's a goal that you have, bud?
I'm in the process of starting a gym. So over here in Melbourne, we've just done, I'm pretty sure, the longest lockdown in the world. I've been in this room for probably 9 months now.
Yeah, what's the deal over there? Can you go outside? Like, you can go outside a little bit, or what can you do?
You can. So they basically shut down everything except essential services. So hospitals, supermarkets, food. You have a 5-kilometer radius around your home that you can't leave unless you gotta go. Your grandma's about to die and you gotta go save her, or you have to get food and groceries, and it's further than 5 kilometers. You're only allowed outside your house for an hour a day to exercise. You have to wear the mask or you get fined. It's ridiculous. It's like, it's almost.
How do they know that you're 5 miles away from your home?
If they see there's police everywhere, and if they see you, there's police and army and, you know, military dudes. If they see you, then they're going to check you.
So this is a good question, actually. And, you know, this kind of goes to everybody, because it's like, you know, this is about kind of, you know, because this is about setting goals and doing this, and kind of how do you, I think like Murphy was saying, like, you know, he likes Elon Musk winning paradigm better than Bezos. And it's like, you know, I could agree with that. I do like Elon Musk, the way he talks about his, when he's going to automate cars and how he's going to sell them for a certain price point. I think the most important thing to think about is like, what is your paradigm, and are you putting it out there? But we're now in a reality like you're talking about. It's like, it kind of screws you up, man. It's like a legitimate excuse to be like, no, I'm on lockdown. Like I cannot do, you know, the things that I'd like to do. So it's like, you know, what can you do in the meantime? And like, how do you even like, and I'm asking you this now, I guess, how do you even get yourself through that mentally? Like, do you feel like you're on hold, or like you're on pause, or like, what are you telling yourself?
Absolutely. Well, oh man, it's been a real struggle. Like, I think the part that gets me the most is if we're all struggling, if all 3 of us are struggling together, and we can look over and see that, oh, all right, I see Matt struggling there a little bit, that sort of helps me deal with it. But if I'm the only one struggling, and I look over and see, you know, Matt doing great and everybody else doing great, or, you know, Freedom, you guys in the States having your spring break on the beach and enjoying yourself, I think that makes it a lot harder, you know. The other thing that made it challenging was we thought we were going to get out of this 3 months ago, you know, and then our just said, oh no, 2 more weeks, and then it's been weeks for the past couple months. So it's almost like, you know, when you're in the middle of a workout and something, you know, then they say 10 seconds left, and you get to the last 10 seconds, they hit another 10, you know, and it just kills you mentally. Like just that sort of extension, and you're almost there. Oh no, longer is really hard. But I guess what I try and just think about is like everybody else around me is struggling too, you know. Everybody I know really is, you know, we're all stuck in it together, man.
Wow. Yeah. That's wild, man. You know, I don't necessarily think that the United States has handled it properly, you know, and to be fair, I don't study it enough to know, but I do know that now, talking to you, John, and I've got another buddy who lives over in Taiwan, another buddy in Japan, and they are handling it very similar to the way that you're describing, and their numbers are reflecting that. So it seems like it's working, obviously, but it's like at what expense, right?
Yeah.
And are the citizens comfortable with that expense?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at what cost? Because you probably saved, you know, a couple thousand lives of people who were, you know, probably going to die pretty soon from stuff anyway. But how many people have died from suicides and now have lost their jobs and are eventually going to, you know, succumb to something, or, you know, because we're such an isolated country, this is going to cause a lot of drug addicts, I guess, is where I was going at, because through the fucking roof, people stuck at home with all these problems. They have, you know, it's fucking. My neighbor just stabbed a woman like 2 weeks ago.
Jesus, man.
18-year-old kid.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of people are getting stir crazy, and I was just talking to my friend who's an actuary, and he was talking about the amount of deaths that have occurred because of essentially as an extension of COVID that are not COVID related in terms of health. So it's very fascinating. So I actually think more people have died this year, from what he said. Again, now he's an actuary. This is his profession, actuarial science. So it's not just some dude saying something. He said that I think just a hair more have died this year, even with COVID, for different reasons, right? Like, you know, you now have more alcohol abuse, et cetera, domestic abuse that turns into murder, et cetera. But I do think the conversation needs to extend itself and about the comorbidity factors. Like, what are things that we can do to keep ourselves healthier, and what are those comorbidity factors? So actually, I listened to a video this weekend, and I'll read it to you guys. And this is from a medical doctor, Dr. Greger, who wrote the book, How Not to Die. He used to be an expert on pandemics prior to becoming an expert on nutrition. And he said that the top comorbidity factors are obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. For instance, if you are obese, you are 6 times more at risk with COVID. And I think we need to start having more discussions like that. I mean, John, because you said you are in the process of starting a gym right before this COVID shit happened. I just wish the conversation would expand itself and saying, okay, hey, are you making yourself a healthier person, and have discussions around that? Because at some point, it seems like, yes, there are illnesses that float around, but are you taking responsibility for your own health and your own immune system, at least to the degree that you possibly could?
Am I personal? Sorry.
Yeah.
Bit out of it, mate. It's about 3 a.m. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
Oh, man, you gotta get to sleep, bro.
Get out of here.
I honestly, I feel like this, I should always try and look at the positives in this, you know? And I think being stuck in a room, I don't have a big family. It's just me and my mom. We live together. So I don't really have a big community. And I think this isolation sort of forced me to deal and confront a lot of demons that I had, and a lot of things that I would have, whatever it is. Okay, I can get out of the house now. I can go and I can do this, or, you know, this really forced me, like a lot of other people, to look at a lot of dark corners in the back of my mind and work through them. And I feel like there has been a lot of benefits. And I think the mental this is built mental strength, if anything. I think I'm going to come out of this better than when I went into it, which is a great thing. As for sort of staying physically fit, it's a bit hard when it's a bit hard when the gym is closed and you don't really have any motivation. You don't have any people around. Why would I try and get fit when, I don't have to look good. I'm not going to have to go out and impress anybody. Or some things that I found that helped me are just, I don't know, man. The things that would help everybody: drinking water and trying to talk to my friends and, see the sun at least a little bit. And
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe in the Philippines, I believe the number was 94% of positive COVID cases, 94% of those people were vitamin D deficient. So not getting out in the sun enough, essentially, or taking vitamin D supplementation. So I think having these types of conversations where it's like, how can we, yes, have best practices in terms of avoiding the virus in general, but then also how can we increase our bodies to handle it in case there is some sort of invasion, whether it be COVID or the flu or pneumonia, whatever it is, that we can optimize our bodies for that.
I also think a lot of it too is just like, there's the content, of all of the stuff we're talking about today. And then there's just the act of just getting together and talking, which, and at first, and I'll be honest, at first we started out today and I've been slightly distracted because, and I'm not like chastising people, but like, I'm like talking and I'm reading the comments. I'm like, why are these people fucking around here? These motherfuckers. But in my head, it's like, I'm just happy there's a place people can go. If even if it is coming in here and being like fucking gay, well, at least there's like, that could be someone who's just been sitting in an apartment and just being like, dude, like, what the fuck is going on? I just need the contact of another human being. And it's like, so that's another thing too. It's like, again, constantly getting out of your own way of being like, no, it's supposed to be like this. And just being like, I'm just glad people are here to talk. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just kind of chatting.
100%.
So I've been distracted. So I've been internally battling with that the entire time. Actually, Wes, somebody asked you, I love when you answer this. Somebody asked, why do you have S&M on your wall?
Oh, okay. So sorry, John, give me 1 second. It's not S&M, it's S&E. You see that little E over there? So if you read the book Persuasion, phenomenal book. Also, the prerequisite book to that is called Influence, but you can just read the book called Persuasion. It encompasses both. So in there, they talk about actually that a lot of action is not action. A lot of action is reaction to your external stimuli. So in other words, building your environment to motivate you, and even more so, not even necessarily to motivate you, to subconsciously direct your actions. Because I would say that motivation oftentimes is more of like a surface level stimulus versus like when you are immersed in something and you don't even notice yourself doing it. In my opinion, that is the more effective tactic to use. So anyway, show up and execute. So S&E, that's what it stands for, show up and execute. So when I walk into the environment, I want to be triggered for certain things. That is why I have my vision board.
Oh shit. Where'd you go? I'll pop you back up here.
Cool. Can you guys still hear me?
I think you're still on screen. You're good.
Okay.
Now you're going. There you go.
So building an environment, just no different than, for instance, John, right? He's starting a gym. Like, what I tell people is I want to build my office and my environment in general, everywhere that I go, like whether it be, inside of my car or inside of my office or inside of my home, etc. I want the environment to dictate what my action would be. Like when you walk into my office, you will know what I'm supposed to be doing. That's also why right over here, I've got a treadmill. I've got a treadmill that fits under my desk where like I'm able to walk on the treadmill. So
you're the standing desk. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the trigger. Now,
standing desk was a good one too. I'm on a standing desk right now, dude. It makes you feel so much better.
100%.
I mean, dude, it's like there's a bunch of little stuff you can do. I have this thing. I keep this next to my little workspace all the time. This is my reminder of mortality. So whenever like just a minute ago, I was sitting here in my head being like, well, I don't want to like talk about the stuff of the chat and like, I don't want to be a dick about it. And what if it gets taken the wrong way? And I look at the skull and it's like, dude, you'll be dead soon. Just relate as honestly as you can. It's like a constant reminder. Every time I have to come here and turn off my computer before I go to bed. And every day I have to I turn off the computer before I go to bed. The skull's right there and I have to stare at it and be like, did I pussy out on any level today? And just kind of like shy away from anything. And, most days since I've had this, I've been able to look at it and be like, no, you went out did that weird shit in the park where you stood in your barefoot feet and grounded and people stared at you and you're like, whatever, and got over it. And it's like, dude, it's just like I got that from you, Wes, of just being like, set up your environment however it is, put stuff up. Cause I never knew what to hang up. I'd go into people's rooms and I'm like, how do you know what to hang on the wall? I don't, anything I look at, I'm like, that sucks. That's dumb. That sucks. That's dumb. And then it's like, when you said that, like set it and decorate in a way, or, you know, whatever, design, however, decorate. You might be like, I'm not decorating. All right, well, hang stuff, whatever that's called. And just set it up in a way that, like, what are the stuff you're trying to bring about? What are the things you're trying to do? And just set up reminders for yourself. And dude, the skull is like, Brittany hates it. That's why I try to put it on my nightstand. She was like, I'm not having a fucking skull on my nightstand. But
oh, dude, my girlfriend says the same. So Matt got me a skull. So he sent it to me in the mail. It's awesome. So I put it on my nightstand. My girlfriend's like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, it's my mini death every night. Leave it alone. You know?
Yeah. Treat every day like a mini death. That's the best, dude. I'm telling you, every day you lay down, you just go like, I just grab, I'm like, Brittany, goodbye. And I fucking just go to sleep for the night. Dude, we should, hey,
no, go, please.
John, I'm going to let you go. Go to sleep, dude. Get out of here. You're the man.
John.
I really appreciate it. This was great. I loved it.
For sure, man.
John, hey man, best of luck with your gym and everything. Keep on that dream, dude. Like, you know, COVID, it is what it is, but like, we need more people like you. Dude, I go to the gym every single day. I would not be able to go to the gym if it wasn't for people like you want to take the risk to do that. So keep on that, bro.
Yeah, man.
Bro, I got the worst timing in the world. I took over at least 3 weeks before the first lockdown. Didn't get anything put in there. And now that was in May. So I think May, January, March, I don't know. Yeah. Around March or April, so it's just been fucked, mate.
Well, stay with it, brother.
It makes you feel better. I became a realtor right in 2008 when the market collapsed. So here I am, dude. You'll just bounce around. You'll be fine. All right.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Nice
meeting
also,
you, man.
I have to go soon. So let's hit the. I have to go meet my babysitter's parents.
Hell yeah, awesome. Okay, man. So
let's go through what do you have? You hit me first.
Number one, thank you guys for all listening. I love the comments. Nick, thank you for the support of John. That's awesome to see you guys supporting each other. Okay. Big thing for me. I want to get done. So I got done the first iteration of the scorecard last week. I want to have a model of a scorecard that I get out to all you guys by the end of the week. And also I think it'd be cool to have an email newsletter for you guys. Like, cause Matt and I share a lot of things throughout the week, whether it be like little quotes, etc. So I want to put that together and have a website you guys can go to just to sign up if you want those little things. Like, for instance, I watch a motivational video every single morning, and it's not like a corny motivation. Sometimes it is, but just little things I'll learn throughout the week that I'd love to share with you guys. So I will put together a newsletter website for everybody to go to. Those are the two big things. And then today I'm working on the biggest case in finance I've ever worked on. I've got a meeting later today, so hopefully that'll go well. But yeah, man. So it's going to be a really busy week this week, and plus you're visiting. And I've got a lot of secret stuff in store for that. So that'll be awesome. I can't wait to do if we can do a live session of this, in-person session of this, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we will. We'll definitely be able to, whether it's laptop to laptop or we're just both on one, we'll be pretty tight. So yeah, I'm going out to visit Wes this week on Wednesday. So I'm super excited. So
we got to hit the cold ocean too, bro. That's
dude, that's a must. I want to eventually set that up where we're able to bring a bunch of people out. Last time I went out and visited you was February or something. And you know, he is in California, so the weather wasn't. It was kind of chilly out. It was about it was in the 50s, I guess it was 50s or 60s. We went out in the Pacific Ocean and did some cold water, dude, and it was like, man, I thought I was gonna die. I literally thought I was going to die. I couldn't breathe, and you know, it's one of those things I just kind of dealt with and went through. And it was awesome, man. But so this week I have to do my bachelor party thread. I keep fucking forgetting about that, so I gotta. It's just like an email. It's like 9 emails I have to do. So I just have to make myself do that. That's more of my like kind of social relationship stuff.
Yep.
So I'm researching for the learning mod. So I'm doing the PsychNol website where I'm building free online classes. And I have like three learning modules set up, and I need to do like probably 3 more. But I had to pause doing them because I found a new book that has like more up-to-date information. So I'm going to just read that book and do a little more research. I have to build a personal site, organize financials. That's easy stuff. I'd have to just kind of like pay my taxes and shit. And since I'm going to be traveling, I'm going to try to shoot for writing just 2 chapters, still 4 workouts, and clean my basement. So awesome. That really the real to-do list is writing 2 chapters of a book, 4 workouts, clean my basement, and I will report back Friday. I pretty much have to do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow, and I'll let you know Friday.
Yep. Yeah, and then just for the listeners, like. Do the same exact thing as we're doing. Like every Monday, do it in this section. Like write down what are the top things that you want to accomplish this week, and then we circle back on Friday and we say like, hey, here are the wins this week. And I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
that'd be
Matt, what were
nice.
you saying? You said, ooh.
Well, there's two things for it. There was the one guy, Joseph, was asking to talk about a 2-month microdosing session. I'll talk about that next one. I have a lot of thoughts on that. There's another one. Bay recovery is a big one. I got dumped a few months back. Would love to hear thoughts, generally on relationships outside of the T-boy. I don't know what T-boy H. I think I know what T-boy HJ's is, but yeah. So definitely, I think Bay recovery, getting dumped or whatever. I think that'll be a great one we can do. So we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that Friday.
Hell yeah. So
Sounds good.
yeah, that'd be awesome. So what is it? Emperor? Yeah. We should cover. Why don't we cover that on Friday? Because I don't want to just like cram it into like a 2-minute thing. So yeah, man, if you can hang in there on Friday, maybe we'll even have you on if that's cool.
Awesome.
On Friday we can go deep into that. Because yeah, man, I that's a phenomenal topic.
Yeah, it is. But all right, let's do it. I'm gonna get out of here. Dude, Wes, as always, thank you so much. Sorry, I was rushing. Sorry, I wasn't present for. I think there's a 20-minute chunk there. I was going in my head like I was going through my my thoughts on a bunch of stuff. So
no, I get it.
Apologies for that.
Andy Dalton, ASB, Joseph, thank you guys. Nick Yeager, all you guys, Emperor, really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
All right, man. See you, dudes.
John Kennedy, you too, bro. Later, dudes.